Hey, hey.
Hey, hey, good afternoon, Hardin County. We are out at Sullivan Auto Group again. This is week 2. We're doing a informative video series with this crazy crew out at Sullivan Auto Group. You might think they're kind of crazy, but they're pretty knowledgeable, as far as I can tell, about buying a new or used car. So today we are going to be playing a little game of sorts. It's kind of a true or false game, but it's truth or myth about general automotive questions. So today with me, I've got Mike Walker. He's the general manager, and then Anthony Rizzo. He's the retail general manager. And then over here again, we've got Chris Anderson. He's the service center manager.
That'd be Chris.
So, I have some questions that I came up with. Our viewers wrote a few questions, and then you guys put a few in there. So, as everybody can see, we've got our truth or myth card. So, I'm going to let you guys decide on who's going to answer the questions. And if you guys disagree on anything, just let us know. But we do want to remind everybody watching, if you have a question, if you have a comment, if you agree or disagree with the guys, write a comment on the live stream. I'm going to be following those on my laptop here. So write a comment, and even if you write it after the video, we'll get back to you soon. So let's get started, guys.
Let's do it.
Okay, so
Rock on.
Number 1. Cash is king when buying a car.
Woo! Getting right to it.
Uh-oh.
Wow.
I know this
or
one.
myth?
I know this one. That would be a myth. Don't win any money for that, by the way. All right. Here we go.
You don't.
A lot of
Somebody's
people.
going to get a gift card.
Oh,
later,
are they?
So that's good.
I don't guess I can win, right?
No.
Okay.
Don't worry. He can't win. You're good.
Here's the thing. With that question, it's truly a myth, because a lot of people, they come in, they say, hey, listen, can I get a cash price? Well, the truth is you're going to get a better deal by financing, because car dealerships, whatever bank they use, there's a percentage that bank gives them for financing and using them as a bank. So a lot of times people come in, hey, I'm going to write you a check. What do you kind of do you're going to give me? Which really loses your haggling ability by paying cash. So again, to me, that's a myth. Would that be correct?
I agree 100%. Plus, let's be honest. We love everybody and all of that, but we're not trying to carry all your cash to the bank. We'd rather not.
That's right.
It's dangerous. You don't want to carry it around. We don't want to carry it around. And yeah, it's actually much better to finance. There's more opportunities. You can build in products. If you pay cash for a vehicle, like we talked about last week, you can't add gap insurance.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, you add gap insurance when you're financing. Yeah,
Right. That makes sense.
So you lose the ability to, you lose a little bit of protection when you do that too. So obviously it's more difficult to haggle at that point. There's no leverage anywhere.
Gotcha.
So you really kind of cut yourself off the knees at that point.
Okay, so we are determining that is a myth.
That is a myth. Good answer, Mike. Good
Okay.
answer.
If regular fuel is good, then premium fuel must be better.
Ooh, go ahead, buddy.
That's a myth. Some cars, your high-end cars like your Class 5s, and you're not, and I call them not common cars. You're not your Porsches or your Ferraris or some everyday cars. And they'll tell you on your gas cap, and they'll tell you what the manufacturer requires. And the fuel standards for today on the states, they meet the manufacturer standard. So 89 octane, if someone says I might get a little better fuel with like 91, I would have to put 2 cars side by side to even see it. And gas is a major expense. So if you're driving a Ferrari, yes, you need premium fuel that you probably can't even buy here. But if you're driving a Chevy truck, 89 octane meets the manufacturer standard and specifications, because if it didn't, it would void a whole list of warranty and other problems that the manufacturer would have to back out. Because the manufacturers and automakers and the fuel companies, they work with each other, because they're not going to sell a base product that will void any kind of warranties or anything on a car.
Yeah.
Now, again, if you're buying a Ferrari, it's a moot point. But if you're driving a Chevy truck or a Malibu or a Honda Accord, just mid-grade, low-end 89 octane meets all the standards of the manufacturers.
Okay.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, to talk about that a little bit, I had a Hyundai Sonata
Nice.
for a long time, and it actually said specifically in the owner's manual to use nothing higher than 87 octane. because that's what the vehicle is optimized to work best with. Which is
Wow.
pretty crazy. So
They're set up. They really are, and it's just so. Do you want to run something? Yeah, it's up to you. But fuel is a very major expense. It's so if they say you can use it, the manufacturer says you can use it. And that owner's manual is a thick book, but it's really not that big a page. So if you any questions, read in there and it'll tell you.
So that was a myth.
Myth.
All right.
And furthermore, Rebecca, anybody out there that has a Ferrari, we would like to invite them next week to come sit with us, and we'd like to see it.
Yes.
And you can pay cash for a car if you like.
Well, we did have a comment on here, and a girl named Amanda said, "True." On our first question, is cash king when you're buying a car?
Nice.
And then she said, "This is why I don't buy cars."
Well, I'm so glad that you're watching, because that is exactly what this is all about. We want everyone to just learn as much as they can. We want to spill all the secrets.
Yeah.
Information.
Yeah.
Okay. So, number 3, you can get a better deal at a car lot on a rainy day.
Ooh, I'll take this one.
You take that one, Rizzo.
Myth.
Myth.
That's a myth. Car dealers always want to sell
I
cars.
know, but I
And as a matter of fact, we always regret saying things like this, but we're open books here. Truth is, I mean, buyer beware. Be cautious on a rainy day. You can't see everything.
The rain hides it hides things that flaws that you won't see in a
Absolutely.
paint or a windshield chip. I mean,
Yeah.
you'd actually be shocked out.
I never
Yeah.
thought
And that's
of
just
that.
what I see. I mean,
Absolutely. And if you do go to a dealership on a rainy day and you're very serious about the car and you drive it and you like it, ask them to take it into one of their bays and clean it off, and then take a look at it without the rain on it. So you can make sure there's no hail damage, make sure there's no dents and dings. I mean, if you get certain spots that there's hail damage, it's really difficult to get those out.
Yeah.
So you really want to look at the car, make sure you don't accidentally miss something, because they can't control when it's going to rain. So
Right.
they may not necessarily be trying to hide it. It's just a rainy day. So
Yeah, take it in the wash bay and wipe it down because they've got lights to see
Yep.
when they're detailing them and stuff. So and the fluorescent lights in a shop put off with even more light than what's outside. If you look at body shops and stuff, they write their estimates around
Yep.
when they're
Right.
clean and dry.
Yeah.
Yeah, because rain will definitely hide hail damage.
Yeah.
No doubt.
So that was a myth.
Nice. Next.
Come
Good
to the
to
lot
know.
any day.
Okay.
Let's roll through this, baby.
Roll
Come
on.
on, man.
We're so glad to have Mike with us
Yeah,
today.
you know, yeah.
He's still a little
I'm a
red, but he's
guest.
getting some color
Yeah,
back.
he's
Still a little
nervous.
nervous here. Got some stuff going on, man. It's all good.
Okay, guys. You should inflate your tires to the number on the side of the actual tire. I thought there was like a ton of numbers on the tire, like including like the model number. Is that what people were talking about?
There's a tire pressure spec on a tire. On any tire, if you went out and looked, there's a set of numbers, and it'll tell you the maximum tire pressure that tire is capable of safely holding. That is not what you set your tire pressure at. Open your door,
Yep.
and there'll be a place card down on the inside of the door, and you'll see it. It'll be your manufacturer, VIN, date, year, and all the information. It'll say front tire pressure or rear tire pressure, and most of the time around here it's 35. Now, if you're driving a big truck, it might be 75 or 80, and sometimes the front and the rear are different. So look at that and set your tire pressure to that, but do not set it to the maximum tire that it said, the number it says on the tire itself. That
That
is
would be
just.
explosive, huh?
It could be catastrophic pretty quick. So
Gotcha.
that is
Okay.
a myth.
Did you know that,
100% myth.
Yeah, did you know that for every 10 degrees the weather changes outside, you lose 1 psi of pressure on your tire?
I did not
So
know
just
that.
by the weather changing could actually cause your tire pressure monitor light to come on.
Yes, it will
Yeah.
fluctuate, and that's a good point because especially we have such drastic temperature changes. So the tire pressure, you got tire pressure monitoring, the little tire light that says your tire is low, and that we fought so hard with this because you get a 20-degree swing in temperature, like you get up your tire lights and you get up in the morning, your tire light will be on your low tire, and it'll be 2 or 3 different variants between one tire and the next, and it'll set that light on just based on temperature. So set it on that place card, keep it on that, and then that you keep them even like that, it'll fluctuate together.
Yeah.
So then
Another
you won't
myth.
have to deal with that annoying low tire light all the time.
You ready for the next question?
Next question.
Mike's ready, so we're gonna.
Okay.
Come on. Let's go. Let's go.
All right. You should let your car warm up
I'm not
for a
bashful.
long time before driving.
Go ahead, Mike.
You should let your car warm up for a long time before driving it.
Boom. That's a myth too, folks. That is not true. Actually, when you're driving the car, it warms up more quicker, better, etc. Oh, Mr. Mechanic wants to say it's true. Really?
Define long time, but you should start and if you read in your owner's manual,
Right.
it's ideal to start them, let them run idle for 3 or 4 or 5 minutes.
Oh, now 3 or 4 or 5 minutes is different. Long time.
Right.
I said define long time.
Yeah,
Now,
let's put one 5-minute time cap there, and then let's put a 15-minute. So tell me.
15 minutes.
I would not start even in the winter time. And here's the big concern. A lot of people have garages now on their house.
Right.
So you go out and you know it's cold or snowing, you start your car up and let it run and your garage doors closed. That is I mean,
That sounds dangerous.
Yeah, that sounds very
Let's
dangerous.
get
I
some
didn't know
carbon
people actually
monoxide
did
this
that.
morning,
no, you would be shocked.
We do not support that.
No.
No,
Right.
we
Just
do
on the
not.
record.
Just,
If it's in a garage, open the door, start it up, and if you hit the remote start on your car, most remote starts will time out after 5 minutes. Just and the manufacturer
Yeah,
said it.
mine
there.
does.
Right, and that's there because the 3 to 5 minute base warm up is good for your
Yeah.
car. It circulates the fluids. I mean, and I'm getting old, so like when I get out of bed, I hang off the side of bed and move my legs for 3 or 4 seconds. I mean, same kind of principle.
so under 5 minutes,
That's the truth.
Good.
good.
Over
Long
5 minutes.
time, not necessary.
All right.
I
Perfect.
And do not start them in your car with your garage with your garage.
No,
door.
bad
Yeah.
idea.
Open your
Bad
garage.
Don't do that.
Those
Don't.
fumes get in your house on an attached garage. So,
Yeah.
so
Hey, we did have one question from a viewer. It said, is it true that rental cars become used cars?
Oh.
Like, do dealerships buy the rental cars from the companies?
That's true.
Okay.
True.
And I'll tell you my theory on that. So here's how I feel about rental cars. Manufacturers and rental car companies together spend millions of dollars.
it's probably their number
Researching.
one customers. too.
Absolutely, yeah.
The
They spend-
manufacturers, the rental companies.
Oh, definitely, yeah. They spend millions of dollars researching what's going to be the best car to make a rental car. They're maintained. They spend a ton of money making sure that the vehicle's good because they don't want a customer to rent their car and then end up broke down somewhere because now they've got to pay money to go get that car. They've got to put them in a different car. They're usually going to be out of state. So it's really, really, really important for the rental car companies and for the manufacturers to know that the cars that are designed for that segment, they have to be good cars. So, and they're almost always very, very, very well maintained.
Yeah, the liability behind not maintaining them for the rental is huge.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
buying
So,
a 30,000 mile rental car,
Yeah.
I wouldn't even bat an eye.
Right.
Because I know it's maintained, I know it's a safe car, and I know
Sure.
it meets all the.
Yeah, and that's another good thing about them is that they don't keep them past 36,000 miles, 30,000 miles. They usually let them go.
Right.
So dealers, it's great to buy those, and they make great cars long term. And typically, you can get them a little bit cheaper. So customers can buy them cheaper, which is great.
Yep.
They service them on the book, on their
Mm-hmm.
numbers. They fix it, like they don't put a tire on it's marginal. They just replace the tire. So they've been maintained, and a rental car purchase, I personally feel, is a solid purchase.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Nice.
Okay. Once you jumpstart your car battery, it will fully charge in just a few minutes.
Chris, even though I'm not a mechanic, I know the answer to this one.
Let's see what you got.
That would be a myth. Would I be correct?
You're correct.
Yes, I am correct. That is so not true. Chris could give us a explanation on the battery situation, but it's not going to charge in just a few minutes.
Well, it's going to take a while.
And probably the bigger point is here. It's not going to charge in a few minutes. The bigger point is that most people have had their cars 2 or 3 years, and if you had to jump start it, the odds are you need a battery. There's those rare, like a 16-year-old driver that didn't turn the dome light off or did something. There's those occasions that have happened, but it won't charge in 2 minutes, and the odds are if you jumped it, it's time to get your battery checked,
Okay.
just as a general consensus.
Okay. A good car should never consume or burn any oil between oil changes.
Ooh. You want me to take this one?
Should I read it again?
No, that's a tough one.
All right. This may spark some argument. I'm going to say that's a myth. I'm going to say that I know for a fact that manufacturers allow for a certain amount of oil consumption between oil changes. the oil gets used. It's being used in the vehicle. So some of that is going to burn off even in a brand new vehicle. So I'm going to say that that's a myth. If you're losing a little bit of oil, now if you're losing half your oil between your oil change, I think you have a problem. If you notice big puddles, you shouldn't notice a puddle.
Right.
You shouldn't really...
Not leaking, yeah.
Yeah, not leaking, but just being used. You shouldn't have to use 2 or 3 quarts between oil changes, but a quart or something like that, I don't think it's too far-fetched to say that's okay. And I think GM allows for, if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they allow for maybe like 1 quart in between oil changes or something like that.
There's a mileage spec, and these are combustion engines, so they will burn X amount of fuel on them. And if you read the owner's manual, and there's a section in there, and there's just it's full of silly information. It's just crazy. But if you read that, it will actually tell you, and you can call any service department, your manufacturer, your dealer service department, and you can talk to someone there, and they will give you a spec that it'll burn half a quart of oil every 1,500, 2,000
Read your owner's manuals, people.
Yeah.
It'll scare you to death. But you'll learn a lot.
Yeah, now if you're burning 2 or 3 quarts every 3,000 miles, you've got a problem, and there's tests they run to solve that. But they will use a percentage of oil between services.
I've never put oil in between my oil changes. I've never had to do that.
Have you
And I just hit 100,000 miles.
Yeah.
Do you check it?
Well, I mean, my car radio.
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
my radio
maybe.
tells me when I need to change my
Really,
oil.
right here, Miss.
Well, you haven't put it in, but have you physically checked it like? And
Well, wait for my radio to say change oil soon.
That's the thing. A lot of people don't actually check in between the oil changes.
Right,
so
so
if
they
you did
don't
check, you
know
probably
until-
notice it is probably using some. Yeah.
And it very well could, but I recommend like every couple of tanks of fuel, just check the oil, just see. And then if you don't do anything between an oil change, you're good. Just
Never
keep it-
occurred to me.
Right.
Now we
next-
know.
Next
While we're
question.
doing this.
Yes. All right. Car dealers always make a profit when they sell a car.
Ooh, I'll take this one.
Oh,
All right,
that's
I'll
funny.
Can I take this one? You want to take
Yeah,
this
no, it's funny though.
one? Okay.
But go ahead.
Myth. All right, so here's the deal with that. Listen, car dealers, like any business out there, do markdowns all the time. So to be a super smart shopper, which is what this is all about, keep an eye on what cars you're doing. You'll watch them drop. If you like a car, don't wait too long. If you like a car, you might miss it.
Yeah.
Right.
But keep an eye on that. The thing is sometimes cars do drop below the cost. That happens. It happens at every dealership all over the country. That's normal. Things happen. Sometimes a car stays too long. Sometimes it's, who knows, just hadn't found the right buyer yet for it. Whatever the case may be. But keep an eye on that because you'll see cars drop. Now the thing is once a car gets down to a point where you've done your research, you know it's at a good price, it's a good deal, take advantage of that. Hop in there and buy that car. If you go in there, guns blazing, ready to have the dealer take thousands and thousands off that car, and they don't have that kind of profit margin on it, you're not going to leave feeling like you won.
Right.
So go into it with realistic expectations. If you see the car's at the right price, take advantage of that. Buy it before someone else does. But yeah, sometimes they do go below cost. That happens all the time. And you can keep your eyes on a savvy shopper will watch for that.
Okay. So let's go back to the oil because apparently I need some information on that. Our next question was: your oil needs to be changed every 3,000 miles. Truth or myth, guys?
Well, that's a tough one.
Okay, so we disagree completely on that. I'll let Chris go first.
The 3,000 miles, no.
We've had this conversation before.
But you can't. I'm a firm. Do not. The manufacturer says, and the light comes on your radio or your dash. It says change my oil or change soon or you got 1,000 miles or whatever. And that's. But some of these cars is 8, 9, 10,000 miles. It's based off your driving habits. The cars are smart. They know. Well, they know the temperature. That temperature on your rearview mirror that tells you it's 100 degrees, that car knows it's 100 degrees and you've been driving in it for X amount of key cycles, X amount of miles. It knows how fast, it remembers all this stuff, and the car's trying to define your area for the mileage that your oil will break down. I don't think it does a bad job, I just don't think it does a good job. I don't wear socks 2 days in a row, but
Right.
I don't think 3,000 is a number. My personal car, I change every 5,000. And if I listen to my car when it told me to change the oil, it was at 9,400 to because I didn't reset it, and the last time I did it was 9,400. 9,400 miles is way too long to do an oil change. And if you keep a car 10 years, in 8, 9 years from now, you're going to have problems where it's going to start burning oil, it's going to start sludging up. So a little maintenance.
Ooh, he's torn on it. You're torn on it then.
Right. I'm not.
The
3 is
manufacturers
not the
suggest
number.
more, but
Right, and then the manufacturer saying when it comes on and tells you. But my grandmother or my mom would not have an oil change in 6 years. If she listened to the car.
Right.
You know, so.
yeah, that's true.
Because she doesn't drive enough?
Well, she just doesn't drive enough. She
Yeah.
go to church and Walmart once a week, and
Sure.
then she's putting 1,000 miles a year. So,
Okay.
and that's just as equally bad because of condensation and moisture and stuff, and with our climate changing, so oil breaks down.
That's a
So,
tough one.
so change your oil. Try to pick something.
Tell
You know,
them.
it's a tough,
Chris,
tough
can we
question.
go to the next question, please?
Mike's done with this one.
It's a tough question, but change your oil.
Change
At the
your
very
oil.
minimum, change it when it says to. At the very minimum.
We're all torn on that
But
question.
I
That's
think
a great
if
question.
you change
It
it,
is a
or
good
if
question.
you change your
Yeah.
oil, at say 5,000 miles, the car will last longer.
Yeah.
I promise you that.
If you read, I was talking about the Hyundai that I had before. The manual said to change it every 7,500 miles.
And oil is not fossil oil now; it's synthetic oil, so
Right.
it's a man-made oil. Is it better? Yes, the oils
Right.
are better, but you're going to pay more. But at 7,500,
It's a lot of
running
miles.
from here to Louisville and back every day that's a lot of miles on an oil change.
Yeah.
So if you're going to drive that car 200,000 miles, and you're going to expect that car to pay you back at the mileage, give it a little love at 5,000. And this is a topic for it's just a sore
Never ending.
subject.
So let's go to the next
Okay.
question. Good job,
All
Rebecca.
right. Our final question of the day. A check engine light
Sorry,
means your
guys.
motor is bad.
Oh, common
You know
myth.
what?
Just throw it up there.
Just
Throw it
let
up
me
there.
do part of this one. It's
Throw
a
it
myth.
there.
The check engine light does
That's
not
the most
necessarily.
common myth that
Yes,
we
it
hear.
is, because when somebody sees an engine light on, they go, "Oh, my motor's bad." No, it's not. It could be a gas cap loose. It could be multiple things, a sensor, various items like that. And so to me, that's definitely a myth. Would you agree, Chris?
100%.
Hey, I got the
good-
mechanic agreeing with me today.
A good mechanic that I know once told me that depending on the car, there could be as many as up to 400 different things that could cause a check engine light to come on. Most of which are almost meaningless.
And I
Still
will
important
say,
to check it out.
have it checked, have it scanned.
Oh,
and see.
definitely have it checked out
But
for sure.
I promise, 80% of the time, you're going to find it something simple that has no bearing at all on the engine, but it's going to be a gas cap left loose. People will pull up and put fuel in their car and not shut their car off. I'm the world's worst about it. I should not do that. And that will, within 2 days, it'll set a check engine light on for an emissions leak every time.
Nice.
Hey, we do have a question. So, officially, our last question. Where should your oil temperature gauge stay at? When should you be concerned?
The oil temperature gauge, if I drove the car, if you were my mom, it would never get to operating temperature. But your oil, are you talking oil pressure gauge or oil temperature? Because most
Kevin?
cars have a pressure, but they don't have a temperature gauge. You'll
Temperature
have
gauge.
like
Kevin, if you're still watching, type that in.
'cause as far as
Temperature gauge.
like most cars at idle on a manufacturer, you're going to run 24, 25 pounds of pressure on a pressure gauge on,
And that's
and
gonna
that's on your
fluctuate.
cluster, and it will fluctuate. And then when you take off and accelerate, from a red light or something, you'll jump. They can jump over 45, 50 pounds. And then when you're cold, it could be that. But when it warms up and everything's working and moving, 23, 24 is about the normal.
Okay.
I won't give the official answer on temperature because that's Chris's world, but I'm going to say a little bit past half is what I usually see when I'm driving cars. Once
Temperature
they're
gauge or-
heated up. Yeah, temperature gauge.
Temperature gauge.
Yeah.
Most cars run, as far as engine temperature, coolant temperature, most cars run around 210 degrees. And if you broke it down, now you can put a scanner on and you can see the number, but most is just some are about a quarter, but these are electronics, so this is not This is not a dead gauge. This is a sensor telling a computer what it's
do.
telling the cluster. So it's not a direct link. It's computers talking to each other. So we can put a computer on it and we can see if one's acted up. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're not linked.
So around 210 or so on average?
Around 210 is about the normal, and some cars at 210 will be a quarter a gauge, some will be half. If you're running 3/4 of the gauge up, and some of them have the numbers, some just go cold to hot, and some actually say the numbers. If you're running 3/4 of your gauge or higher, you've got a concern.
Well, Kevin Jagger said that to tell Chris that this will save me a phone call later. So I guess he
Yeah,
himself.
You're welcome,
know
Kevin.
him. Yeah.
All right, so we're like way past time.
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
So
See what happens when you add me to the conversation.
Because we brought Mike in.
Sorry,
okay.
guys.
So, a few things to go over. Our contest. Last week we had a share the video contest and go to Sullivan's page and like it. We're going to do that again with this video. But last week our winner of the $100 gift card to Vibe Coffee is Tom King. So thanks for sharing and liking, Tom. So again, if you guys have any questions for the Sullivan group, let them know. You can comment still on this live stream, but we will be back again next Thursday at the same time. So make sure that you like this video and you can share the video, but go to Sullivan's page and like their page as well. You have to do both of those things to be entered in the contest. And this week we will be giving away a $100 gift certificate to Impellizzeri's Pizza.
In E-Town.
In E-Town, yes. So, again, guys, thanks for sharing all your information with our Hardin local followers. So, we will be back same time next week.
Oh, next week we've got a double giveaway.
Oh, double giveaway.
Double giveaway. Double giveaway next week.
Tell me more.
Are we giving away?
Can't till next week.
Oh,
It's going to be a big one. Tune in.
that's a truth.
No, it's true. Double giveaway next week.
Maybe a detail.
Check it out.
Check it out. All right,
Check it
thanks,
out.
guys.
That was pretty good.